My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit. As I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast that was this week inducted into the Australian Football Hall of Fame alongside 10-time club-leading goal kicker, full 40 Italian team of the century, Sav Rocca.
Yeah.
My name is Jack, and I'm joined, as always, by Alistair.
Hiya, how you doing?
How you doing?
Sav Rocca's never getting in.
He's never getting in.
It's so funny. It's one of the
There's
funniest things.
There's going to be so many people below him keep going in over time.
Yeah.
I can't see anyone else in that top 35 just not going in. It's just going to be him alone, floating in the dark.
For those who don't know, Sav Rocca's the only player who's kicked...
He's only one of two eligible players in the top 30 goal kickers of all time, the only eligible player with more than 650 goals to his name to have not been put in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's a 10-time club-leading goal scorer across two different clubs. It's kind of insane.
It is funny that it's taken this long. So.
Well, that's why we need Italian round, to raise awareness for problems like these in the footballing community.
The Sav Rocca Italian
clearly not enough Italians in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, I wrote that most of this weekend's games were bad.
Yep.
Hawks Dogs. Hawks looked good, but it was a bad game. Crows Lions had fun moments, but it was boring. Tigers and Swans, awful game. Geelong and Suns, very scrappy, hard to watch, bad game. Giants and Port, great win by Port, bad game. North and West.
North and West.
North and West Coast. Hands Oval's beautiful, but maybe the worst game of the year. Carlton and Essendon, all-time comically bad game. Melbourne and Collingwood, yeah, that was actually quite good. That was a pretty good game.
It's almost as if when the wet weather comes, football gets worse.
A few of those games were under a roof.
Nah.
And also, North West Coast
few?
had a less than 5 kilometre an hour breeze.
Is it just Marvel that has
Marvel.
a roof?
Yeah.
There's one game
one
at Marvel.
Yeah.
A few. Get out of here.
There was the no breeze, no rain, clear sky, hands oval game, and also...
Yeah, but look at what are the ladder positions of the two teams that played there?
Bad.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 1 goal 11 was a sight to behold, though. That was very impressive.
Kicked themselves out of it.
They genuinely did. I think they were the better
team. Yeah.
Across most of that game until the last quarter. Do you have anything before we jump into today?
No.
I wrote a short list. If you missed it, Hall of Fame was held last night. I wrote a short list of the inductees. Daisy Pearce, who I think we should name the women's brand law equivalent after.
Sure you do.
I think it would be cool to see players win a Daisy. It's unfortunate for her that she was the best country in her day before the AFLW was formed, so we didn't really get to see... Like, she was obviously in the AFLW, but when it wasn't the AFLW, she was the best player in the country. Erin Phillips was the best player in the country when the AFLW was formed. 2-time grand final day best on ground winner. First ever father-daughter combo in the Hall of Fame. Nick Riewoldt, only fair, one of the greatest ever modern-day Saints. Luke Hodge, much like Riewoldt, very good. Gary Lyon, it's like a trio of guys I don't like who are very good at football that I understand being in the Hall of Fame.
Was it the stat about Luke Hodge being the only captain to bring a team to like 6 top 4, top 2 finishes?
Yeah,
or
and
something
like a
that?
Marvel team. Impossible stuff, really. And then a few state ones. George Owens was a waffle legend. Found it very funny. He was playing at the height of Tom Atkins and Lockie Fogarty as a ruck in 1920. Peter Darley, another ruck, South Adelaide's ruck of the century. And John Leedham, regarded as the greatest Tasmanian to never play VFL footy. And then Ken Farmer was updated to legend status. So no real modern, like the 3, but no like in that 80s, 90s era guys this year. They've probably run out of them, except for Sav Rocca.
Yes, well...
They're like, there's just no one left to update from them.
Maybe they crossed him off on the spreadsheet and they just didn't add him.
Yeah,
maybe they just look at it every year and he's in there.
Well, everyone up here is done. Just stop looking up there. We've got Buddy, Tom, got a few of those boys to come in. The only ones that are eligible in that 650 bracket are Buddy Franklin, Jack Riewoldt, Tom Hawkins and Eddie Betts, who I can guarantee all of will probably go in as soon as they're eligible.
They'll probably be before Sav Rocca.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There'll have to be a year where they've got no one to add, where they go, all right, let's just finally do it.
This is the Sav year. And he'll be
for
like...
the 8 people on Twitter who care about this more than anything else in the world.
He'll have died and Anthony Rocca will have to accept it for him or something.
Oof.
Well,
you know my general feelings about the AFL
really
Hall of Fame. I really don't care, but obviously it's nice to see AFLW and just women's football.
Yeah, if like those two are two of the most important names in women's footy. Like without those two, we don't have the competition that we have today. So It is very, very cool. Like, I remember watching the exhibition matches like only 10 years ago now, they were on. The Bulldogs Melbourne ones. And thinking it would be cool if we get a national comp. And it's crazy to think that despite all of the issues with it that we have currently, we have one. And that is very cool.
Ramped way too quickly, but we've got one.
And the talent pathways are clearly working. Like, the young kids that come in every year are very, very good. And we're getting there. But
it's just a great game for the Irish to come in as well.
Awesome. Like, there's a whole team's worth of them in the comp, and they're some of the best players that we have. So that is also very cool. Should we jump straight into votes?
We can do votes. That's what we're here for.
Probably going to do a quick one this week. I think, one, it's Wednesday and not Tuesday. And two, Alistair may die before we finish
I'm very unwell. Apologies if I make any untoward noises during this podcast.
All right, so I did the intro. So who was your one vote?
My one vote is to Harry Edwards from the West Coast Eagles Football Club.
In my special mentions, was very good.
I was umming and ahhing about a few people rolling through my one votes, and then I found some fun facts about Harry Edwards, and I'm like, all right, I'll give it to him. But he had 12 disposals and 13 intercept possessions.
That's really cool.
So that was a fun one. He had 5 marks, all 5 of them were intercepts. He had 6 one-on-ones and only lost 2 of them.
There was that bit late,
which when you're playing for West Coast is
where we both
good.
thought that he'd fucked the contest, and then it turns out that he just read it better than everyone else and managed to tap it over the back to himself. It was
he played really well.
The best game he's played.
But I found out that at 17 years old, he was 184 centimetres. Then he was drafted at 195, grew to 200 in his second year, and is now currently 204 centimetres. So
that's insane.
He's going to be very tall in a few years' time.
It's almost more dramatic than the Tim English one.
20 centimetres in, 3 to 4 years.
Like, I know, I think English had like a 15 centimetre between bottom age and actual draft age.
184 to 204 is crazy.
That's nuts.
I didn't even know he was that tall.
If I could have done that, I might have played as well. I would have had him like that in the mid-190s, not over 200.
This is from Wikipedia.
No wonder he's
I didn't fact
almost
this.
killing blokes when he goes back to the waffle. Christ, the monster. My one vote was to the man who was accidentally given coach's votes until there was a "we're sorry, we clicked the wrong box" memorandum sent out.
I didn't see that.
Mark Keane. We're meant to be Ben Keys. They're just one after the other in the list. They clicked the wrong box with 5 votes. But he was massive when he needed to be, especially in that last quarter when Brisbane had 21 inside 50s to like 3. No, to 5. All 5 of Adelaide's were goals, and it was crazy. He had 9 disposals, all 9 intercepts. 7 of those were contested, 3 marks, 2 intercepts, which I thought was really funny because it means he took a non-intercept mark when the siren went at some point and didn't dispose of it. He won both his contested defensive one-on-ones, had 7 spoils and 6 defensive half pressure acts, and I really liked his game.
Yeah, he's been good this year, Keane.
He's having a really good year. It's really funny. I think we said it a couple of weeks ago, but there were Crows fans calling for him to be dropped at the start of the year. And now he's one of their most important defenders. So,
I mean, not that Collingwood are doing poorly down back at the moment, but you can definitely see why they came for him.
Absolutely.
After
they were pushing really hard.
Yeah,
well, he went home, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who was your 2?
My 2 votes, Josh Dacos had a 16-point rating game, 34 disposals, 5 rebounds, 5 intercept possessions, 11 marks. Pretty good game.
He was pretty good. Won a medal.
Yeah.
What trophy, actually, I think that one. Anyway.
I don't know.
He was good. He was really good.
Yep.
They tagged Nick and Josh just went, then I will get equivalent enough disposals for the both of us.
I double-checked. 0
0
centre bounce.
Yeah. I actually have a player I left off for that reason.
Interesting.
My 2 votes was to Jack Silvani.
All right, well, that's easy because I've got Jack Silvani at my 3.
3. 17 disposals, 10 of those were intercepts. He won 4 out of his 6 one-on-ones, 8 spoils, 6 marks, 3 of those were intercepts. Got 5 coaches' votes, 2 score involvements. One of those was a launch. He's just putting together a really, really good year.
Yeah, it was crazy. The commentators were literally counting intercept marks for the first half of the game because of how many were coming Carlton's way. And it was spread pretty even, but I thought Jack Silvani
he
was
the
the
pick
best
of them. I think he adds a dynamic that they haven't had down there previously. I think McGovern and Wiedering have both historically been very slow to move the ball on, whereas Silvani just goes,
and he's a pretty good kick as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a real key to helping them move the ball out of the back line and why they are good at that part of the game this year. So I guess I'll move to my 3, which was to Jack Henry.
I thought you might find a Jack Henry vote in here.
Had 18 disposals, 10 of which were intercepts and 9 contested. He has 6 spoils, won all 4 of his one-on-ones without a loss, 7 defensive half pressure acts and 5 rebounds. Had a really, really good game. As he does, because he's very good at football.
As he does. Yeah, I've got him as a special mention.
Who was your 4?
It's a great question. My 4 was to Nick Blakey, the Lizard.
He was really, really good. Yep. Special mention for me.
You couldn't find a vote for the Lizard.
Couldn't find a vote for him because my top 2 were...
All right. Well, Nick Blakey had a 19.1 rating game. He had 34 disposals. 31 of them were kicks. He had 7 rebound 50s at 916 metres gained, 7 intercept possessions, 10 marks, and for his 1 contested defensive one-on-one, he won it.
Yeah. Why don't they put him at full forward, though? Why don't they put him at full forward, though?
Why don't they?
Try it. It'll fix them. My 4 votes was to Sam Taylor, who was awesome in a team that was decidedly not awesome. He had 19 disposals, 16 of which were intercepts, which is insane, 12 of which were contested, 9 marks, and 7 of those were intercepts. He also had 11 spoils, 7 rebounds, won 6 of 7 one-on-ones, and had a 21.5 player rating to go with 4 coaches' votes. He's good at football.
He really is. I actually, just despite the stats, think that Jack Buckley played better.
Buckley's in my special mentions.
Yeah.
Close to the top. But
I just it's hard to split those two sometimes, and like the stats were really in Sam Taylor's favour on that. But from what I watched, because I didn't really want to watch the whole game, so I watched the highlights. I thought Jack Buckley was better.
Rough game.
That's me.
The Cheetah West.
Maybe if I watched the whole game, I'd think differently.
So who was your 5?
Jeremy Howe.
Yeah, had to be. He was. I thought robbed of the trophy and the coaches' votes. I thought he was a clear best on ground.
Yeah.
In the sense that like Dacos, who won it, was very good, but without Howe there, Melbourne are scoring those goals that they needed. They lost by a point. He had 26 disposals, 14 of which were intercepts and 12 contested. 5 marks, 3 intercepts, 2 contested. There's a few he didn't bring down that crumbed straight to Collingwood players as well. 9 rebound 50s, 1 all 3 one-on-ones, 582 metres gained. Jeremy Howe.
I genuinely think that Jeremy Howe is the difference between that club being
I had
11-2 and being like 8-5 right now.
I had him penciled in for 5 votes at halftime. I obviously was going to edit that if I needed to, but he just pushed everyone down immediately. I think I even said it like midway through the second quarter. It's insane that he's doing the things he's doing on the football field at that age. He reads the play insanely well. We're big Jeremy Howe guys here. We always have been, even back at Melbourne. But my special mentions, funnily enough, to roll off the top few are Harry Edwards, Nick Blakey, Jack Buckley. Asava Radaglia was also really good. Mac Andrew had a good game, and so did Tom McCartan. Mark O'Connor is a special mention with an asterisk because he played so much wing and midfield time. Even when he was starting on the back flank, he was rolling straight into the midfield to follow Anderson around the ground. So he can't really get a defender's vote, but he still had a bunch of intercepts and had like 21 disposals again. He's having a career best season by a mile.
It's strange.
For a guy who I thought was being pushed out of the team by his compatriot, he's just taken his game to a new level, which is cool. So.
I also have Josh Weddle listed. I also have Andrew McGrath down, who really I struggled to not give him votes.
Yeah, he was really good again.
And Luke McDonald from North, who I don't know if we've
Yeah,
ever given votes to because we have certain feelings about.
I think we've given him 1 or 2 votes in the past, but yes.
Yeah, he played really well.
I almost referred to his game to someone as I said to someone I think at one point about that game that if he'd played like that for the last few years, I would see him in the same way I see Andrew McGrath, right? But like, it's not his fault he was drafted so high. He still made a good footballer of himself. He hasn't played enough of those games.
Yeah.
McGrath plays them pretty consistently, hence your mention again this week. Round highs, what a shock. Spoils, Sam Taylor with 11. Intercepts, Sam Taylor with 16. Intercept marks, Sam Taylor with 7. One-on-one neutralisations, Sam Taylor with 6 out of 7, alongside Darcy Moore and Tom McCartan. Henry with the lossless one-on-ones, and Ash and Dale had 11 rebound 50s each.
Yeah, sounds about right between those two.
Darcy Moore, a lot of one-on-ones neutralised, but not a good game from Darcy Moore. He was very shaky up forward against a pretty average Melbourne forward line.
Is he playing up forward? That's crazy.
Sorry, down back. He should have been playing up forward the way he was playing. That was where he started, wasn't it? Crazy.
Yeah, it does. It does feel weird to
Crazy
think about that.
He's such a solid fullback, but he spent like 3 years playing as a forward. Side note, while we're on votes, kind of, the Neil Danaher game should be between Essendon and Melbourne, not Collingwood and Melbourne. Like, that's who he played for and then coached. It's crazy that Collingwood have that game. Essendon don't need another marquee game either. Like, they've got just as many as Collingwood do. But it's weird that it's not a Melbourne-Essendon game.
Yeah, I've never really thought about it too hard. But, yeah, that
like
does
Essendon
make
legend,
more sense.
like all of those brothers.
Yeah.
Odd to me. Anyway. Do you have stocks up or stocks down this week?
I do have that. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Sweet.
My stocks up is in someone I had a lot of stocks on pre-season is Finn O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
That was the
I knew that
game
was coming.
I thoroughly believed he was able to play. He read the play really well. He got out
Yeah.
the back, fed off the ball to the people that needed it. I don't want to say he was robbed for the rising star because Curtin has been better this year, but if we were truly going off the one game, he was better on the weekend. I hope we get to see more of that from him because he's not a big accumulator, so he needs to make those possessions
I think
count.
he needs more tricks in his bag, personally. But he did play really well on the weekend. So
Especially his second half when North really got back into that game. So, Finn O'Sullivan.
my stocks up is Ollie Hollins from
Yes. Oh,
Carlton
yeah.
Football Club.
Oh, yeah.
Robbed of a coach's vote. Player ratings did not rate him the way that I saw it, but the fans clearly did because he got player of the round on Carlton's
Cool.
voting
Yeah, okay.
thing. So
I find, I was talking about this with Emma and Brees earlier, of credit to Dubois, that they don't really calculate well enough beating your direct opponent, which he did really well.
and he has done a couple of times this year. He played on Bobby Hill earlier in the year, who I think he kept to 1 goal,
Yeah.
which is obviously not his bag, and that was early in the season. So I thought he did really well. He is reminding me of Cade Simpson a lot, which is obviously a player that I love and Carlton players should love. And I feel like I'm hoping that his missed tackles is the only thing that I really
It's
see
just
him.
he's just he
Yeah.
won't necessarily get big because I don't think he has that frame,
No.
but he can get stronger.
Yeah.
Like Cade Simpson's a great example. Andrew Mackey was another one. Like players who play in that running halfback
Yeah.
role don't necessarily put on the size, but you can at least put on the strength to stick him. So
And he's relishing that role. It's
the
working.
main thing probably our boomerist take about him for a while was that he so often heard footsteps.
Yeah.
And I don't think he does anymore.
No.
Like he has.
I'm trying to think of the last time it was like he was running and freaked out because someone was clearly coming
and
behind him.
far less likely to take that like VFL extra step
Yeah,
that you
which he
see
was
players
doing.
take. He's like since round 5 or so he's getting caught holding the ball a lot less. So
Yeah.
that's dramatically improved this year, and I've hardly seen him hear footsteps at all this year. So they're
Yeah.
the two things that needed to go. Sick.
Yeah,
It's good.
he seems driven, so I'm a big fan. Stocks up on Ollie Hollins.
My stock's down. I found it really hard this week because it was such a messy weekend of football.
I've put a really weird one, so
But I put Gold Coast top 4 chances.
I've got them finishing 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that like I expected them to win on the weekend. I expected them to not have their score doubled
Yeah.
against no Bailey Smith Geelong. I was a momentary believer they could do it given their draw, but there's a 3-week patch coming up soon where they have to play Collingwood, which is admittedly at home, and then Adelaide away, and then a Q-Clash in 3 weeks. And I think they would need to win 2 or 3 of those games in order to make the top 4, and I think there's a chance they drop all 3.
Being completely honest, and this applies to Adelaide as well for this year.
Yeah.
I don't think either of those, despite making top 4, would
Do much damage.
do much
Yeah.
damage. They need that finals experience first. It's a different game.
I said to someone the other day that, like, I don't think Adelaide are legit, but I think they're currently more legit than the rest of the teams I can see making the top 4,
Yeah.
so I have them finishing 4th.
Yeah.
Which would set up, like, if you had a first week of finals that was Collingwood, Adelaide, Brisbane, Geelong, it'd be a cool first week of finals for teams that have played really close games
Yeah.
recently, but I don't think Adelaide are on Collingwood's level currently.
No, I don't think so. I have my stocks down. I didn't really, because it was such a bad week of football. I just thought Andrew McQualter, Minnie's comments around the substitute.
It was weird, wasn't it? Like, just back yourself into why you made those decisions, or...
Yeah, and if you get it wrong, just say, like, obviously apologise, but, like, it doesn't have to be to the media. He's got a young player who's played in the sub role twice, and he's brought on for, like, what, a total game time of, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you get that wrong...
Player who you've also been playing as on management, it's because he had glandular fever and whatever pre-season. Like, he's building his tank back up, and that's important. But admitting it was odd.
Is the comment around, I'm still getting used to the sub... He played over half a season...
With the sub.
At Richmond, and he's
yeah.
been doing it so far this year. I don't really understand why now it's getting weird. And, like, I don't know, it just feels odd. It's such an odd comment. And obviously you want to have confidence in your coach and players, but...
It was weird because I was feeling really positive about him over the last 2 weeks leading into those comments, because I was thinking, like, he's clearly gotten West Coast finally playing that handball game.
Yeah.
They're finally moving the ball on. They did a lot against Geelong and they did a lot against North on the weekend. And it makes them look so much more dynamic because they've got so much speed in the midfield.
Yeah, some of their play against Geelong was awesome to watch.
Yeah, there was like end-to-end stuff that was great. And then against North, they were doing end-to-end stuff and missing from 5 metres out. But they were still doing it, which is hugely promising. That's what you would want to see as a West Coast fan. But then you come out and you do the whole, like, such a lacking confidence.
I'm only selling like a stock or two.
Yeah, not all of it. It was just a weird...
Yeah, it's just a weird thing that makes me go, huh,
Yeah.
that's...
I almost sold stock in AFL this week.
Oh, yeah?
After how rubbish that was to watch. Like, even in the wet, some of those games were just dreadful. Who's your game of the week?
There's only one good game this week.
I've got one good game, two games I think are interesting.
Okay, so the good game is Hawks and Crows in Tasmania.
Crows, which should be sick.
It's the only good game.
So we agree on that at least. I also think Port versus Melbourne could be really interesting.
There's story there. I've written down, is St Kilda versus the Bulldogs the second best game of the round? ? And I wrote that before Sam Darcy was announced.
It could be either the second best game of the round or the worst game of the round. I think there's very little in between.
Yeah.
The last time they played, the Bulldogs beat them by like 80, and that was when Sam Darcy did his knee the first time.
Yeah. It's
which Adrian Polonakis referred to as like having a delightful dinner, but the waiter dipped his balls in your wine every time they made it. And then he'd come back in 7 weeks, so it's insane. But North Freo, it sounds horrible. That's an Optus that's not even in Bunbury. Essendon Geelong has gone the same way for...
No Hawkins anymore, though.
No Hawkins.
And Essendon are playing out of their skin.
They reckon Shannon Neal is back, though. So you're going to have Neal, Cameron, Dangerfield on the tallest defender being Laverde. It's concerning.
Well, I mean, it didn't help them when they had defenders.
That's so true.
So
it
doesn't matter. True. They're playing better without them.
Yeah, and I think the way they're playing, it'll be really fun to watch. Like
if they come with that same midfield energy,
nothing to lose.
Missing Durham, but
for stupidity, there was no point in what he did. Brisbane Giants in Brisbane. Brisbane should beat them pretty handily.
You'd hope so.
West Coast Carlton. I mean, last year was. If it goes anything like last year...
I mean, obviously West Coast have been bad, but I looked at the last 5 and Carlton have won by like an average of 60 points over that period. So
it's a team that Carlton just go out with and like that's clearly Carlton's problem at the moment is confidence. And that's a team they don't have that issue against.
It's two teams that play well in the first half and then shit in the second half. So
so we'll see.
I'll be at the game.
I expect you to be. I will be on the couch looking for you behind the goals game. And buys this week, obviously, Collingwood, Sydney, Gold Coast and Richmond, which means Gold Coast will be 2 games behind some teams.
Yeah, so stupid.
I had a few round the grounds-ish notes this week.
Bevo.
Bevo was in there. Bevo has re-signed on with the Dogs, which isn't a huge surprise. Like, he's taken them to their only 2 grand finals in 62 years.
It's the right decision, but is it the right moment?
Weird time to do it. I did learn, though, that he doesn't have an agent, and he does all of his stuff himself, which probably makes sense as to why it was signed this week.
Yeah.
And it took so long to get it done. He manages everything himself. Apparently, he's been getting a hand with the contract from someone else, but he doesn't have an agent, which...
Eddie Betts' wife.
Probably why it took so long.
So I feel like Bulldogs... I mean, look at how they're ranked on Squiggle or Wheeler or anything, ranked either first, second, third, etc. Have been playing some of the best football you'll see all year, and they're 9th.
You look at, and it's exactly the same as last year, right? You look at the game they played against Geelong, followed by the game they played against Hawthorn, and you go, what the fuck? And it's like last year when they belted Geelong, in wet weather, which almost no one ever does, and then lost to Adelaide the next week.
It's there's a consistency issue with that team.
Yeah, it's very odd and very concerning, and it makes me frustrated for them. That they sold that Marvel game, they sold that Marvel game to Ballarat, and the AFL has now forced them to move it back because of the construction. They're a much better chance of winning that game in Ballarat than at Marvel.
So who's it against?
Adelaide, who play well under the roof. So it is frustrating. But yeah, they're a very annoying team, but I don't think it's necessarily Bevo's fault.
No.
We know about the Marvel issues that the AFL
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Since St Kilda. It's not a huge home ground advantage. And then even when they have the advantage, they don't get to play finals there. Like last year, they played Hawthorn at the MCG.
Yeah.
That's shit. St Kilda had it a couple of years ago, same thing. But yeah, their consistency's massive. But also, they've only had half an hour of Bont and Darcy on field at the same time this year. Until this week, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that surely makes a difference.
I mean, you hope so.
No Buku up forward is going to help, surely.
He has been wet.
He's been fine. But you'd rather Darcy and Norton, maybe
of course.
Third. But I did also write that Bulldogs are dickheads once again, as ultimately foreshadowed by our last 2 episodes of talking about.
It is astounding that we just, not that we willed it into existence, but we knew it would happen.
Yeah, it's what they do historically. Yeah. We both refused to put them as our top seed for specifically that reason.
Yeah.
And then they did exactly what we expected them to do against Hawthorn.
And this is, I guess, where my next point comes in. I was looking at Melbourne and their inaccuracy over the past couple of rounds. So 3 rounds where they lost, where they kicked more points than they did goals. 7-21 and 7-14 being the most egregious. And recently on the weekend, 10-11, but they lost by a point. Flip 2 of those results.
And also the number of inside 50s they had in the second half.
Flip 2 into wins,
and
they are percentage out of the 8 above the Dogs.
Yeah.
By 4 premiership points.
I made a joke at halftime when they were having all of those inside 50s in the second quarter. And I posted the Vietnam flashback meme with the scores and
Kind of
stats.
looks like Max Gorn, doesn't he?
I put a Melbourne jumper on them. The scores and stats from that Collingwood qualifying final that they lost when Stephen May made the infamous "We're better than them" speech. And then got to the end of the game and I was like, I didn't mean to predict the exact future of this game, but that's exactly how it played out again. Collingwood took their chances and Melbourne didn't.
It's concerning, and it is especially concerning considering Bailey Fritsch used to be the most accurate
and then
kick in the league.
He pulled some of those goals. He was amazing and terrible at the same time in that game. The moment that stood out most to me, and I was glad I saw 2 people talking about it in the This Week in Football chat. Emlyn highlighted it, but wasn't the only person to notice it, which is that there was a point in the game where Bowie puts out a perfect handball in front of Petrarca, laces it out beautifully. Petrarca fumbles the ball, eventually recollects and passes it to Oliver, who runs inside 50 and sprays it directly out in the full. Those two would be paid, on their own, more than double Bowie. Yet they're the ones that have no composure in those moments when you desperately need... And that wins them the game if Oliver scores there, they draw.
I feel
the goal, they win.
You definitely want your clutch players to be the ones that are earning the most money. But
it was so frustrating. I can't imagine, from a coaching box perspective, you're Bowie's doing exactly what he needs to there, and then the 2 star players of the team mess it up.
I mean, Oliver's never really been
the
most accurate of
players. Why you spray it? Why are you taking that shot?
That's dumb inside mid. They're always taking the shot.
Dumb inside mid.
And it's one of the most frustrating things in footy.
I also Pat Boss Pandemonium on socials was fun.
Oh yeah, the videos of him.
Go to Freo's TikTok or Instagram Reels. They went to a school visit on the weekend. Pat Voss refusing to lose to 12-year-olds.
He takes 6 marks over the kids. In one of them, he pushes one of the kids to the ground. It's hilarious.
Strutting around, tackling Warner on the floor, and Erasmus, he's faking the handball away. And Hayden Young was looking at them like these fucking idiots.
It's funny because the Pat Voss meme started, and I was like, yeah, whatever. But I'm on the Voss train fully now.
The more I watch him,
it's very funny.
Is so good. His chest out, and he gets the legs are higher.
He's more fun to watch than any other Fremantle player at the moment.
Absolutely, he's got so much personality.
Yeah,
and he's 22. It's actually surprising because he looks huge.
Yeah,
you forget that he's 22. Crows, I noted, obviously they won this game as opposed to the last 2 times it happened. But for the 3rd time in about 10 months, Isaac Rankin seems to be the only guy in the AFL who can have a 50-50 free paid against him in the dying stages of a game. He had, obviously, the ran too far last year.
Yeah.
I looked at the videos. It's the same amount of steps as a couple on the weekend. They're not fine because, obviously, you don't pay that call in that game normally. The one where he was caught holding the ball despite not having the ball anymore because he tried to kick it, lost it, and then got tackled.
Yeah.
And then on the weekend, put it out in front of an Adelaide player and it right turned and went out of bounds and they paid insufficient intent. He's cursed.
Some of the insufficient intent calls they have played going forward.
It was so wet on the weekend. You can't be... they're skill errors. It's wet.
It's really interesting watching them umpire a game like that and seeing them go, all right, well, unless they hold the mark for the 10 seconds, we're not paying it. But if any kick grubbers out of bounds, even if they're trying to go forward or kick it to a teammate, we're calling it insufficient intent.
It was crazy. And watching it, I was like, if Brisbane kick a goal here and it's Isaac Rankin again having a free paid against him, costing them the game, it would have blown my mind. But thankfully they didn't because they had... just again...
Was it 0-8 in the last quarter for Brisbane?
They kicked 0-8 from 10 shots.
Yeah,
21
so
inside
similar to Melbourne, except for the fact they have been winning their other games.
But yeah, that was pretty bad to watch. Chris Fagan didn't mince that at all in the press conference. I really enjoyed, they asked him, did you feel like they really got on top of you in the last quarter? He's like, got on top of us. He said, we won every reasonable stat in the last quarter except for the scoreboard. And he's right. I also enjoyed Ginnivan. After last week against Collingwood being maybe their only good player, he kicked one out in the full Dogs crowd goes nuts. Bronx cheers. And then only a few moments later gets to have that moment where he shows the ball to a basically empty paddock and kicks it through. That was fun. And I also liked that maybe a little moment of growth from him. Didn't go to the Dogs crowd. Went to his teammates after the goal. Feel like he might not have done that a year ago.
Maybe.
But that's good for football. That's fun. And he's probably played 2 of the best games of his life in a row.
Yeah,
in the last 2 weeks.
I don't really have an issue with it.
Witten game.
Oh,
We
the
thought it was
Legends
dead.
match.
They said it was...
Financially impossible.
And now it's back.
Yeah.
So...
But it's only back because they're getting TikTok
They're getting
influencers
influencers on there. I can't wait to see...
Someone in a boardroom has said, if we get TikTok influencers to advertise this game, we'll make money. And they went,
Orange is going to kill
yeah.
Benry on a football field.
I did see that he said he was going to kill someone.
Yeah. It's a weird one, but it's back, maybe.
I don't know.
Look, nothing will ever beat Hachi kicking
The
that
pants.
goal. It's the greatest...
Those games used to be so much fun to watch, and then they kind of just disappeared off the face of the earth. But I don't really understand, like, how much money do you actually have to put into it?
You wouldn't think that much, right?
Yeah.
Like, surely the people playing are doing it
And I feel like it would be even
fun?
easier now because of all the retirees over the past, 5
who
years.
are able to play.
Joel Selwood would come back in a heartbeat,
You know
right?
what, you see Tom Hawkins putting around country leagues, kicking goals.
And I think they should be sillier with it. Like, even if you get Joel Selwood doing the boundary stuff and then he just runs on
Just
and
runs on the
plays.
field? Yeah.
Like
Like
in the full
Hodge
suit.
and Selwood both boundary riding, but they're in different coloured suits to match the teams, and then they just come on. I'm here
See,
for that.
I feel like there's good bits you can do, and that's what it used to be. It used to be
Yeah.
the bits. Like, they'd
Yeah.
bring...
Like Peter Helly would play the first half, and then Strawny would play the second
Yes,
half.
or not that I'm a big fan of him at all, but Sam Newman playing the absolute goof as the coach
Yeah.
in the full trench coat and
doing
everything.
the proper giving a spray.
That's where it was fun, and
Then they just kind of became games that no one wanted to get hurt in, and they just... And the fact that they were only on free-to-air TV, I think, killed it a bit as well. Like, so many people watch sport on streaming now.
yeah, maybe that can help. But
But
I
I
think it was just something fun, and because there's no current players in it, you can just do it.
I welcome it. I'll play in it.
How many? 1,000 Twitter followers? Is that the threshold
Maybe.
you can get in?
Yeah, we'll see. Featured on 96 FM.
Yeah, once, and did they even say our name?
No, I called him out. And then, article stolen by Tom Morris.
Yeah, Tom Morris. Put him in. Get him
that'd
lined
be
up
funny.
by Campbell
That'd
Brown
be
or
funny. He
something.
wouldn't play. He wouldn't do it. He knows he wouldn't do it.
Or
Or you've got to get enough Sydney people out there to protect him, and then he'll be all right. But
I don't know.
really funny him being like, Jamara's going to Sydney, and Jamara being like, I'm not fucking going to Sydney. And he's like, don't listen to him. He's going to Sydney. All right.
I don't like Tom Morris very much, but I did like that he said he had to Google what cap meant.
That was funny. Yeah. One of my favourite bits is when I see someone go, hang on, Googling this, and then coming back and be like, that was quite funny, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
That was me with the those Waymo cars getting blown up in America. I didn't know what the fuck a
is a
Waymo car
Waymo
was, and I
car?
Googled, I was like, oh, a Google driverless car. Yeah, that is funny, actually. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
What the fuck's
I
a
have been
Waymo?
so out of the loop on everything. 'Cause I
Yeah,
was sick for 3 days.
it's like you were cursed because you were like, it's all right, everyone, after these 2 weeks, I'll be back on it. And then the world's like, no, you won't. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm still doing my...
Not that you were like, for a weekend to feel too awful to be able to consume entire games of football. You chose the best one.
Yeah?
Because it was not worth consuming entire games of football.
No.
Like I said, I
shouldn't have consumed a whole
fell
pizza that
asleep
day.
at halftime in the Essendon Carlton game, woke up and watched the 3rd quarter, and then when the 4th quarter started, I went, there's a quarter to go? In my head, when Carlton saved that last Essendon entry, they saved the game and it was over. And then there was a quarter left, and I was like, what's going on?
There was another game I was watching where I was like, oh, it's still going?
Was it West Coast North?
No, it was the week before. It was West Coast Geelong.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, Brave loss, whatever. And then I looked again and I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
What happened
It
here?
went from Brave lost territory to, Geelong kicked 8 goals in the last quarter.
Yeah. So,
It was a weird game because West Coast performed out of their skins and then lost by about the expected margin. Rough
what
one.
happens to
They've done
the
that a few
other
times
side.
this year, actually. Yeah. Not Richmond, though. They had 12 consecutive. They didn't score from the middle of the first quarter to the middle of the last quarter. That was horrible. Not a game worth watching.
but that, again, you see all the positives with Richmond this year. You take a bad game here and
like
there.
if you told Richmond fans they'd be going into the bye with 3 wins,
Yeah.
they'd be
You could
snatched
have
out of
told,
your
you could have
hand.
told them all they would If
One
they won round one,
Yeah, that's enough.
they would be happy.
Yeah. They've been solid.
You tell them they win round one and Sam Lawler gets his cock out on live TV. Take it to the
And
bank.
Sam Campbell does a fucking backflip after winning the game. The actual one is, hey Richmond, you can win no games this year, but you beat Carlton in round one and Dimmer at Marvel. They'd be like, give me that, give me all of that, please.
And you get 2 top 3 picks no matter what.
That's one of the craziest trades. It's going to go down as one of the craziest trades.
That
we've ever
Whitlock
seen.
twin better be
He
good.
has so much pressure on him, and it's not even remotely his fault.
No.
And we see that a lot when that happens, but boy, it's a lot.
Liam Stocker was the same when it was the first live trade pick.
When you trade up like that or down like that to get a player, the pressure just becomes immense.
Yeah.
And it's part of what I criticised the Finn O'Sullivan pick for. They need not midfielders.
I still don't understand why they didn't pick Taru, but he still hasn't played a game yet. So. And if they pick Taru, do they need to then trade a pick to get the Whitlock twin?
Well, yeah, maybe. But you'd split that O'Sullivan pick, right, as your main. It's hard, but picking another midfielder, especially a non-accumulator outside midfielder, seems to be the last thing North needed.
And I get it, best available.
They're
right?
the best first touch team in the comp this year, and they're the third best clearance team in the comp. They don't need more mids.
What's their only good line,
Yeah.
really? Curtis Larkey does work up
It's
forward.
fine.
So
It still obviously doesn't connect well enough yet.
no Moose this week.
No, they dropped him. I couldn't believe it.
I know.
We almost had Moose in Perth. Oh, that's why. One Moose per city.
You can't have 2 Meese.
That's why Alex Pearce didn't go over last time. You can't have 2 in one city. 2 Meese. That's the new Southwest team. It's not the Sharks.
The 2 Meese.
The Southwest Meese and Alex Pearce and Finbar Maley are going to be the 2
co-captains.
The 2 first players. And Alex Pearce will play for 1 season. Anyway, we still have no idea about Tasmania. It's still just it's meant to be 2 years away, and we have no idea.
Yeah, I think the discussions about the stadium have been delayed even further.
Sitting's been suspended because they had a vote of no confidence.
It hurts because I really want Tasmania to be a team,
really
but at the
don't
same
want
time,
19
I'm like,
teams.
19 teams is too many.
It's too many teams.
We either had to lose one or Tasmania died off, and that's what we got.
Yeah, it's a shame. R.I.P. Raman.
I mean, it still might happen. Jack Rewalt and Brendan Gale
May
hostile takeover of the government.
I reckon they'd vote for him. Some of them.
Did you see that the Premier came out and directly called out Nick Rewalt for his comments?
Really?
Yeah.
The current, maybe soon to be former Premier?
Yeah. Came out and said, obviously, a stadium's not our biggest problem. We've got housing issues, blah, blah, blah. And Nick Rewalt had to defend himself on agenda setters and say, I understand that there's housing issues. This is the same Nick Rewalt that was talking about social justice warriors only the week before.
Yeah. Talking about Hamish McLaughlin.
Which is a term that you don't hear anymore.
Hamish McLaughlin learning to speak Muslim. Was a big one from Roo.
Someone should make a...
Also, we never hear about people saying...
to speak Muslim meme.
Instead of Tasmanian. You never hear about people complaining about Roo having the same nickname as Rashudo.
No.
That was fine.
No.
It's just Wiz.
Oh, yeah, because I messaged our group chat earlier and mentioned
Roo
Roo was mad. But I specifically said in Adelaide.
Yeah, I knew who you meant.
So I knew you would get it.
I knew who you meant.
It's just because I can't spell Rashudo.
Losing his... it's too hard. It's not like prosciutto. That's the problem.
It's different.
It should be like prosciutto.
Yeah.
Horrible. Anyway.
Rashudo.
It can't be Roo real. That's weird.
Yeah, anyway.
Nick's already a nickname. His name's Nicholas.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Some people just get nicknames. Debut on the weekend for Carlton, Hudson O'Keefe gets called Skull because there's another guy called Skull.
Oh. Oh, Hoff? Oh, Kerry O'Keefe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he laugh like Kerry O'Keefe? That'd be a real worry in the change rooms.
No, he does not. He doesn't laugh at all. He's a very angry boy.
His dad's a lawyer. That makes sense.
So nicknames are stupid. We've got we've got a competition where someone's called 2 Litre Peter because he used to be called 2 Metre Peter.
Yeah, and when Gary Rowan became Chucky because you couldn't have 2 gases at one club, which is a very normal one that you could have 2 of at one club.
Yeah, they played the same line though, so you can't.
That's true. They're both half forward.
Yeah,
it's true.
If one of them was playing half back, it would be no problem.
Totally fine. Yeah, we have back gas and forward gas.
Nicknames are funny.
What if your nickname's Jez and there was a guy 100 years ago also called Jezza?
No,
that's not allowed?
That can't be allowed.
That makes sense. What if you were the 20th person in Australian sport alone to be called the Wizard?
No.
But there was a guy who was quite good who was called the Wizard.
He was better than you, so you can't be the Wizard.
That's a real shame. It's a real bummer.
Whatever I
just can't believe we've got 2 people called Moose. That one's... Like,
yeah,
how did that happen?
that's where this started, right? Because we're talking about
Yeah,
that.
that one's insane. That's a weird one. Because, like, Alex Pearce looks a bit like a moose.
Yeah, but
Finbar
Finbar Maley
like a
has a
moose.
mustache.
Ah, yeah, it's true. He does.
Moustache.
Did he get it?
That's where that's come from, surely.
So it's a recent...
You don't grow your mustache out like that unless you
that's
want
true.
a
He
stupid
loves
nickname.
that moustache for sure. He's a weird man, Finbar. I like him. that press conference he gave, where he is like the least PR trained man of all time, and he clearly just knew one of the journalists personally.
I do like it when one slips through the cracks.
And he's just like addressing one of the journos by name because he knows him. And
I think that Angus Clark from Essendon also being just a country boy is very funny.
Good. Yeah, his dad's good. Good areas, good value.
Don't fucking miss a goal.
Who was it a few weeks ago? One of the Junior Voice boys.
Oh yes. God, I can't remember his name. But it was a very funny video.
Very funny when he called his dad. That was really good. Anyway, it's probably too hard to find him.
No.
Are you going to find it in the amount of time we got?
No, probably not.
No. Anyway, he got picked ahead of Phoenix Gotthard, and I was sad about that because we still haven't seen Phoenix Gotthard.
You've got a
Gotthard. Well, he was such a high pick, and he was so well rated, and they've just picked a bunch of blokes ahead of him. It's fine.
God, was it 3 weeks ago?
More?
Did he only play one game?
I think he might have only played one game, yeah. But it was sick. Well, the pre-game was sick anyway.
Oh, we're terrible. I'm just going to have to look up
Yeah,
that list.
it's
We
fine.
can't leave this hanging.
We can probably wrap up there.
We can wrap up
I think
when
we're both
I've
happy
got the
to...
name. Delana.
Yeah.
Sire Delana.
Him calling his dad was really, really cool.
His whole family and just calling Connor Iden and just giving him one look and him immediately knowing he was playing was good areas.
Really good.
Ew, I've just said something I don't like.
Good areas. Woo!
You'll never catch me saying gear.
Good gear?
You'll never catch me saying it.
Yeah. Anyway, that is us for the week. Hopefully we will both feel more alive next week.
If I don't, I'm going to be very concerned.
Last week, our public holiday fucked us. This week, and I'm saying this if you live in New South Wales, Victoria, or South Australia, your public holiday fucked us.
It fucked me too, because I had to work 2 public holidays.
Yeah, you had to work it. And then there was also a game on.
Which I forgot about.
You did, yeah.
You messaged me about it at like 6 p.m. and I went, oh yeah, that happened today.
But yeah, it was weird, and there's no public holiday or Monday game next week. Kind of a Monday game during the bye rounds as well. That's
I am going to start lobbying for no more fucking Thursday games.
I think that now that the Australian public has finally realised that it means no Saturday game, people keep being like, well, we were never told there'd be no Saturday game. You weren't getting an extra free game.
Cut Thursday.
You were never getting an extra free one.
Give free to wear a Saturday game and let's just call it.
Yep, totally agree.
Seriously.
Especially if there's a Monday game, no Thursday game, unless it's the Easter weekend.
I don't want to see more than like 6 Thursday games a year.
It's too many Thursday games. We'll work the next day.
I feel like I think our opinion on this is very unpopular.
It's very skewed by the fact that we watch all these stupid fucking games and not like 2 games a weekend. Also, imagine being in Victoria and having the Thursday game finished so late.
Yeah.
You got work the next day? Fuck that.
Like
pre-daylight savings only? Anyway.
I know it was public holiday, but I was watching the post-game stuff from Carlton after their Sunday night game. And, like, they weren't leaving the stadium till 11 p.m.
Yeah.
So, doing that on a Thursday.
That's horrible.
Some players have a curfew.
Amazing people go. Yeah, that's why they can't play. That's why Campbell Gray keeps getting in the game. Who I quite like. Also, he's done his knee.
It's a shame.
He looked good. Anyway, if you want any of our dumb merch, go to the website. If you want to read any of my stuff, go to the website. That's us for this week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.